Order the October 3rd, 2023 meeting of the Town of Kiowa Island Ways and Means Committee. Could we stand and have pledge of allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with freedom and justice.
All right. Petra, could we do a roll call, please? Here.
Mary Labrella. Here. Mr. Bell.
Here.
Mr. Berner. Here. Mr. Steller. Dr. H. He's here. Ms. Tillerson.
Here.
Ms. Schubert.
Okay, our first item is the approval of the minutes from the August 28th meeting. It's in tab number 1. Could I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Citizens' comments for agenda items on the Ways and Means agenda. Mr. McElvain?
Thank you. Brad McElvain, 146 Blue Heron Pond Road. New business includes under 9, review and recommendation of both the amendment to the town attorney contract and the employment agreement with Stephanie Tillerson. Neither contract is attached to the materials. It's hard to comment on something you can't see. I also don't know any reason why they would not be produced. They're not confidential. They're not any, as far as I know, any reason to withhold them. So I'm not sure how we can actually have a meaningful discussion of something that you can't see. That's my point.
Any other comments? So we have no old business. Under new business, we have the review and recommendation to Town Council for approval of the creation of a wildlife technician position within the Wildlife and Environmental Department. Jim, are you going to comment on that? Sure. And then after that, we'll take a motion to move forward.
All right, thank you all and good morning. So we talked about this a little bit at our retreat a couple of weeks ago, but now you've been provided the job description as well as the justification that I put together, at the last minute yesterday, and hopefully you all received that. So just kind of real quick to go over, why I'm asking for this position, and then happy to answer questions. So, as you know, the town has had an environmental wildlife department for 23 years now. I'm really proud of what we've accomplished over those 23 years. In those 23 years, I've come before council one other time to ask for additional help. That was in 2008 when we added the second biologist position. So now here we are 15 years later. The island's changed a lot. We've continued to develop and continue all of the research projects, add new ones. But it's become increasingly difficult with a staff of 2 to continue to do what we've always done, as well as to do the new things that are being asked of our department. So my position in the last few years has become a lot more administrative, which is not surprising, or unexpected, but it does keep me out of the field a lot, and so that's why I'm here. We need help to continue what we're doing, to improve on the quality of service we're offering to the community, especially as it relates to responding to wildlife calls in a timely manner, dealing with nuisance and problem wildlife, alligators, et cetera, and honestly just taking some of the burden off of Aaron and I. I mentioned that, Aaron in particular, and both of us do this job because we love it, and we're proud of what we do, and so, Aaron in particular, during the fall, he'll probably take 4 days off counting weekends, between now and November 30th. So he'll work literally 100 out of 105 days over the next couple of months. And so, you know, just that's, I mean, in a nutshell, that's, I wouldn't be here if there wasn't a need. And so hopefully I can answer any questions you have, and we can discuss further.
Jim, we could continue that point. I was impressed with, you made a couple of comments in here, 28 or 30 days. Being trapping 30 to 40 days straight, 12 to 14 hours. Somewhere other. Anyway, two questions. Is this non-exempt? So you get paid overtime?
Yes.
So you don't have to get, so you get paid overtime, number one. So there's no other type of compensatory time off. So
Sorry, I cannot hear anything.
His mic's not on, is it?
I wonder if they've got it turned off on the,
But those are my two questions. So he is paid overtime, what, 880 or 40? What's his overtime?
No,
This is Aaron's position.
no. This is to
An additional position.
add a technician
No,
position.
Aaron's position is,
Aaron, he's exempt.
Aaron is exempt, so he doesn't get paid overtime.
No.
Okay, thank you. One. Two, is there a compensatory issue? Do you give him compensating time off to make up for these 30 to 40 days straight and things like that?
You know, we try, and there is kind of an unwritten, you know, policy if we work, you know, if we know we're going to work all weekend, we will try, if our schedule allows, not to work at least one weekday to make up for that. But in practice, that doesn't happen that
Okay,
often.
all right, thank you.
So I have one question. So let's assume for just sake of discussion that this new position we pay at the midpoint, $41,418. Are there any additional infrastructure costs that we will incur as a result of having an additional person?
There shouldn't be. I mean, I think, you know, we've got 2 vehicles. The only other issue would be a vehicle, but I think that we can work around that. You know, the idea is to have this person in the field a lot, especially during the spring and summer months when we have a lot of visitors here and there's a lot of wildlife issues to deal with. In the fall and winter, this person is likely mostly going to be assisting us, so the truck wouldn't be an issue. So I think we can deal with 2 trucks, so I don't think we'll need to add anything.
Okay. So,
Office, I guess the other thing is office space. You know, we plan, again, to have this person mainly in the field, and we think we can easily move some things around out in our current office to give this person a computer and a place to sit down when they need to. So
okay, so minor, if any, would be
we
the,
shouldn't need to build anything. We'll need to buy a few things and
Okay.
a desk and that sort of thing, but that's
all
about
right,
it.
any other questions for Jim? Michael?
I have one. Yes. Is this mid-range salary that John mentioned, is that in our budget? Or is this on top of the budget?
It's incremental to the current budget.
So on top,
Yep.
but we just approved the budget. Why is it not included?
Because at the time when we approved the budget, this position was not under consideration. And then, as you recall, council does mid-year review of the budget, so you can amend the budget mid-year, because there's a number of things that we have added that were not potentially budgeted in July 1st.
So any other questions for Jim?
Would that be then, to follow up on Michael's point, would that then be, would it be more appropriate to consider this at the mid-year review?
I would say, no, councils in the past, I mean, it would be up to you all, but council in the past have done a number of approved budget.
What we're doing here
things.
today is recommending to council to add this position. Council can take that issue up then when it's presented to them. Any other questions for
Yeah,
Jim?
but, well, hold on, John. I mean, we still have a responsibility here. We are just not moving stuff forward and then, you know, have another discussion with the same people. But I feel a little uncomfortable about this because I usually had the rule that, for the first 6 months of a budget, there is no change if it's not dramatic, like a pandemic. So I'm not exactly sure why we are now discussing this when we just had passed the budget. That's not right. It's
Well,
not
okay,
efficient.
that's fine. Everybody's got entitled to their opinion on this point. So any other questions for Jim? So I'd entertain a motion to recommend this to town council for approval.
I support approval of the new technician position.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion, please.
A second? Hearing no second, I guess it. Huh? Okay, I'll second that. So let's take a vote. Any discussion?
I actually, I think I agree with Councilmember Heidingsfelder, not at all opposed to the position or the need for the position. The question is whether this would have been more appropriately presented in conjunction with our recently considered budget, and whether now, that not having happened, whether it might be more appropriate to bring this up when we would otherwise ordinarily do our mid-year review. So.
Okay. All right,
Can
any other,
can I ask one more question? I'm sorry, John, if that's allowed. So, Jim, what do you think, how long will it take to find a person like this? Means then resulting out of that question is the second question, how much of the 41,000 estimated here as a mid-range, would really impact the 23-24 budget and when?
Okay, I can definitely answer some of that. I may have to let Stephanie handle the last part. So it would be an easy position to fill. In the wildlife field, this would be considered an entry-level position. So probably someone who either just received their master's or who just graduated from undergrad with a wildlife degree. Jobs are hard to come by in this field. And this one pays, comparably to the state as well as the feds. And so I think we would have 100 applicants very quickly, and we could fill the position very quickly with a very qualified candidate.
Yeah.
okay? Any other comments?
So it
I can
means.
answer your second question in regards to when will it impact the budget. So, of course, we're already, June, July, August, September, October, 4 or 5 months into the budget. So in terms of the impact, it won't be the full,
Not close to.
but yeah, you may say half, because if you want to add into the payroll tax, the other things, so it won't be the full salary that will come out of fiscal year '24 budget, but it would be whatever the remaining months are.
In a perfect world, to really help with, so we get really busy in January, February, and March. That's when we've got 30 to 40 days of bobcat trapping, we've got the deer work, and so, obviously, if there's a way for us to have this position filled by January 1st, that would be great. If not, I understand, we'll deal with it as we have in the past.
If as a practical matter, it's likely that filling this position and incurring any unbudgeted expenses would coincide with kind of the mid-year review that would be undertaken in any event, I'm more comfortable with that.
Okay, any other comments? So we're going to vote on the motion, which is to recommend to council that this position be approved. That's the motion. So all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. That it be approved to recommend to council. Council can decline to do it, but we're recommending that they do it. All those opposed? Okay, it passes, so we will recommend to council, and then we'll probably have a pretty good discussion on whether to do it now or later, if I had to guess. Yes?
Your guessing was right.
Yes?
Question, Jim.
Yes, sir.
What's the possibility of bringing in a temporary help on these spike times when kind of get a feel for somebody that could be room for this type of a position if this, I have no doubt that it's not, wouldn't be a position in demand to give some relief to you and Aaron? I don't know, just a suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, and
I mean, it's impressive when you say there's going to be 100 applicants. That's,
it'll get filled very quickly, for sure. I do have a line item to hire temporary help, and we've done that with some of the deer work, to hire someone to help with loading deer and doing various things. In terms of getting temporary help to help with the, bobcat trapping and that sort of thing, it's probably more of a challenge. It's easy to get someone, and it's typically someone who works on the island already, who we know, and we can say, hey, we need help tomorrow night till 4 a.m. Can you do it? We'll pay you this much. But in terms of getting consistent help over a 30 to 40-day period to check traps and training everyone with how to do that, it would be a challenge to get someone temporarily to do some of the tasks that we need done.
So I think that we've voted to recommend to council. These kinds of things we probably will be open for discussion when we take it up at council. So let's move on to the next item. Review and recommendation to town council for the purchase of recycling and solid waste educational cart stickers.
Morning.
Who is going to talk about that?
It's me.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Everybody can see the presentation on the, okay.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm here to talk a little bit about some educational stickers. This has come from the Kiowa Goes Green work group. And these are educational stickers that would go on our recycling bins for the town, as well as solid waste, which would be the garbage bins. So the Kiowa Goes Green work group has worked on 10 focus areas, and one of those is educating the community on properly separating their items before they go into garbage, recycling, or household hazardous waste collections. As many of you know, cross-contamination is definitely a concern, and not only in our state, but on the island as well. So this is one of the ways that we talked about possibly remedying, allowing, helping the public understand how they get those items to where they need to go. So recycling contamination and just cross-contamination in general occurs when items that can't be recycled are placed in the recycling container. That's also called wish cycling. So somebody hopes that it can be recycled and they throw it in there, but really it isn't, and that's actually harmful for the process. Items that are recyclable that are not properly prepared before placing into the bin. So that could be food waste is still on them as they put them in the bin. And then items that are considered hazardous materials that are placed in household or recycling containers. So there hasn't previously been a coordinated cross-contamination educational effort for the island. So this gives us a really great opportunity to further educate and inform everyone who comes into contact with the island, property owners, short-term rentals, and visitors on how to dispose of their items correctly and consistently. So some of the goals of this effort are to equip property owners, short-term renters, visitors, as well as contractors and service providers with the correct recycling and solid waste disposal procedures, provide tangible tools that they can use and reference when there's any uncertainty, and also avoid harmful materials that can contaminate landfills or endanger the workers that work at recycling facilities. So cross-contamination is essentially when items are improperly disposed of, and as a result of that, there are recyclable items that are being placed in the garbage, and then potentially a whole cart of recyclables could be thrown in the garbage as a result, and it impacts the recycling process negatively in general. So some of the items that are common items that are incorrectly placed into the recycling bin tend to be plastic bags, which are very detrimental because they can actually wrap around the equipment in the recycling facilities. Dirty recyclables, which I talked about earlier, somebody eats an ice, like, like a plastic yogurt out of a plastic yogurt container and doesn't clean it. And then aluminum foil and plastic wrap. Some common items that are incorrectly placed into the garbage include batteries, compact fluorescent light bulbs, and household cleaners, and these items would instead go to household hazardous waste. So the work group, the Kiowa Goes Green work group, the recommendation is to place recycling stickers on all of the carts owned by the town, as well as put signage on the recycling center at Kestrel Court, and also place stickers on all of the trash carts that are owned by the town. And those stickers focus on what to avoid placing in the trash and how to participate in household hazardous waste collection. I'm gonna go, these are the actual stickers. So this is the recycling sticker. You'll see it has visuals of the top recyclables, and then some of the items that tend to be incorrectly recycled through our program. We also have the ordinance that's listed on here, as well as a reminder about plastic bags, because that's one of the big items that people will, instead of putting their items loose in the recycling cart, they will put them in a plastic bag and then stick them in there. And it has a QR code. This goes to our website. We have a recycling page that has a Waste Wizard tool, and that's a tool that residents can actually go to and type in an item, and it will tell them where they can dispose of it. So that's a good reference point for if they're unsure of an item that falls outside of those. We also have, these are the garbage bin stickers, and this focuses on household hazardous waste. It lists the most common ones that are placed in the garbage that can be harmful for the environment. And then it also has a QR code to our website, which that leads you to where you can dispose of it instead. So some benefits of these stickers is the physical placement of them. Instead of us, it's great that we have some of these tools like e-news and social media to push these items out, but if people aren't signed up for them, they're never gonna see this information. We're physically placing them on the bins, they're going to see it. They can also reference it if they have questions or need to see it later on. The QR code, which I talked about, leads them to the Waste Wizard tool for more information. So if there is an item that is kind of unique, they can go right on there and just scan the code, and it focuses on those common items. They're a great reminder and an educational tool to encourage individuals to dispose of their items correctly. And it's our hope that it will further educate someone who maybe is incorrectly putting it in the bin and just doesn't know. Because there are items that are recyclable in other states that if somebody moves here, they may not know that it's not recyclable here. So we estimate there's about 6,000 recycling and trash carts on the island, which include the short-term rental properties. So the cost is $21,607.60, and that was for 8,000 stickers that we were quoted. We also had a couple other vendors that we looked at as well, but they were much higher for the cost. And so the idea behind having additional stickers is that if over time something happens to them, they can easily be replaced without having to do a huge order. And the more stickers you buy, the less the cost per sticker. And then a couple of the other tools that we're using in addition to this, I mentioned the Waste Wizard tool, and then we're also coordinating with the work group on an educational outreach, and that will be all the common tools that we use for residents like e-news and social media, and those will focus on some of those common items that people may not realize that they're supposed to recycle or put in household hazardous waste. And that is everything for now.
So one question to anticipate Michael's question, is this a budgeted expense?
It is not.
You good with that, Michael?
Aaron, is this like the parking sticker, you know, you got to clean the surface and all that kind of stuff. Will people do that, or are we going to do, who's going to do that?
Yeah, that's my question.
So Brian, I don't know if you want to talk about that.
So we've had discussions internally with the group. We feel confident that we can get some volunteers that volunteer for things on the island already, such as perhaps members from Turtle Patrol, members within the Kiowa Goes Green group already too, as well as efforts from town staff, which would include myself and my assistant, Michael Nardelli. So worst case scenario is we take a little bit more time and it's done in-house. But again, with discussions from the group, we feel confident for getting volunteers, and also with the different single-family regimes, we feel that we could get some of those HOA presidents. We could hand them the stickers, and then they could help disperse within their smaller communities.
It's a marvelous effort. It's a laudable effort, but it just seems like be prepared for, 8,000 stickers on dirty trash cans is not, if you put them on, if it's not on correctly, if it's crumpled and things like that, you just have to
Right,
do
it
it.
would certainly be an undertaking, but it's an important topic that.
No, I understand.
So it's my understanding that one of the requirements when you build a house or anything like that is that the garbage cans are shielded from view. So like in my case, both my trash can and the recycle bin are inside of a closed thing that has a gate on it. And so when the trash guys come, they have to open the gate, pull the thing out and all that. The top of that unit is level with the top of those cans. So not that I'm completely irresponsible for disposing of my waste, but I will never read this sticker because I will never see it. It's going to be below the level of that fence. So to spend $3 a sticker for something, and short-term rental people, I gotta say, I watch the short-term rentals near me, when they go to check out, they chunk their garbage in the nearest open can. They're not gonna read them either. So this is a great effort. I just don't think it's gonna be effective, worth $21,000 for stickers.
And that's a fair point. The approach that we take is we as a town want to do everything that we can. We certainly can't tell people to throw away, be there when they're throwing away their refuse. But this is kind of the last effort that we can take.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Ourselves.
I just think it's hard to legislate responsible behavior.
This way. We are not going to change the world with a blink of an eye, right? But we have a responsibility to educate. And what you're describing, we discussed that in the group, is a topic, both with the renters as well as if, trash bins are tucked away. But according to the data we looked at, the majority of trash cans actually are at the curb on a Tuesday and Wednesday. And this is when we would use our own time and the time of volunteers to apply them. And then probably need to use the Carolina waste people to help us with locating those bins that are tucked away and are, serviced, by them to be rolled out to the curb. But if we don't do anything, we just allow and accept that contamination continues, and contamination both as it relates to the mix-up between household and recycling, but even more, what we are worried about is hazardous waste, is then making it either to the landfill or it's making it into the recycling facilities and harm the equipment and the workers in those facilities. So I think we have a responsibility to do something about it. And the team felt just by issuing one newsletter after the other, it's probably not enough. And having this information, and especially the barcode, to scan to your smartphone and then to type in whatever you want to dispose and get advice, is an effort that hopefully at least the majority of property owners, community members, visitors, tourists, etc. will use.
So I have a couple comments.
Wait. Before we have this discussion, we probably ought to have a motion to either recommend or not.
All right, motion to recommend for approval to town council.
Second? Okay. Discussion.
Great. So I have two comments. I do share, John, your comment about whether it'll work or not. But I also share Michael's comment that I don't think we can do nothing. So I'm for going ahead with the sticker program. But my other bigger comment is with respect to what worked in my town before I moved to Kiowa. It is just shocking to me how people are not aware or concerned about the environment. And as we're seeing here on the island, there's cross-contamination. What worked in my town, on a rolling basis, 10 homes were selected each week to check the garbage. And it's only 10. It was only 10 homes. And so it wasn't an arduous task. But what happened, that when certain people were found and discovered to be improperly disposing of contaminants, and they had a threat to be fined or were fined, that spread like wildfire through the community. Can you imagine what would happen in Ikewa if how fast that would go through the community if people are being warned about being fined? So I'm throwing out there for consideration, inspect 10 pails a week just to see who is complying and who is not, and have the threat of a fine to whoever the homeowner is.
Can you imagine how that would go through Ikewa?
I completely can imagine, but then the homeowner is embarrassed for not complying with the environmental conditions.
Then we could put a meter on them
I
and check
mean,
their speeding.
Russ, we discussed that in the group at least once, I believe. I think it can be very powerful, but I still do believe in the ability of our community to follow recommendations, and that's what we want to do here. If we see that it doesn't work because nobody's reading it, as John fears, then this could be the next step. I would be hesitant to do it right away, but I think it's something we want to hold in our bucket for later if we have to.
Yeah, I didn't mean to do it right now, Michael, but I just wanted to throw it out there. I wasn't aware you had that discussion already, but I'm all for trying the sticker program, but if it doesn't work, we need to go to the next step.
And I would then agree absolutely with you, yes.
Okay, Brad?
I applaud the initiative conceptually and have really no issue with striving to get these stickers on the garbage cans. I think for some of the reasons that have been mentioned, I don't think I can support this juncture is the recommendation to place stickers on all trash cans. And particularly with regard to those who subscribe to backyard waste management, trash pickup services, the idea that you're going to have even well-intentioned Turtle Patrol folks or others kind of wandering around properties to find out where the trash is located, to place stickers on it in areas that may be in enclosures, sometimes in garages, I think is problematic.
Brad, let me clarify. I very much agree with you, and that's why we said we are starting to place the stickers on those bins that are on the curb. Okay? And then we know where we are over the time, and then we probably need to ask, Carolina Waste to help us to place those stickers, for example, by having, volunteers follow the garbage truck and place them when they are brought out to the curb. But I agree with you, the intention is not that all of a sudden, volunteers are wandering around properties. That's not appropriate.
So I still, the concept of placing rather than offering the opportunity is, I think, maybe what I'm struggling with a little bit. The idea of, for example, sending around to every homeowner regime a note to every property management company, we'd like to make these stickers available and for you to distribute to your homeowner, the folks that own homes in those regimes, to make available to all property owners the stickers, as well as to require that any new trash can that's made available actually have the sticker. I'd be much more comfortable with a voluntary, let's see if the community embraces this approach, than trying to place stickers ourselves on the trash cans.
Okay, so as
I think we should.
Brian mentioned,
I'll approve the
for
request. I'll
the
support
HOA
approving it.
regimes that we have on the island, we certainly want to work with them to ask them to help us in distributing or even placing the stickers on the trash bin. So here we
So-
are aligned.
So since
Okay.
this is something that the town council will actually have to say yay or nay about, I think the motion is, do we recommend to council that this request be forwarded to council?
Also moved,
And that's
Mr.
been the
Chairman.
motion and the second.
Yeah, also moved. I'll let the administration of it or the execution of it can be done with the committee, but
Yep. So, any other comments?
Well, is our recommendation is to place stickers on trash carts?
Our recommendation, the request is to fund 8,000 stickers to be placed on the town's recycling and garbage and totaling 21,607. It's actually, if you read this, it's the request is to buy the stickers. And then at some
Right.
point, we'll have to have a plan for how to put them on.
Right.
That's not, as I read this, Brad, that's not really part of
Okay, I
this
say the
recommendation.
recommendation is to, but the request
Yeah.
is to. So
Yeah.
I'm fine with the request as long as it doesn't also include the recommendation.
I think what we're saying is we're gonna request town council to approve spending $21,607.60 for 8,000 stickers.
That's the intent, yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, passed. Okay, the next item is a motion to go into executive session to discuss proposed amended contracts for both the town attorney and the town administrator. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
second.
All those in favor, or any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're in executive.
waiting for Michael or waiting for you to chew your muffin?
Y'all should notice that Michael has on his Ryder Cup windbreaker that he bought in Rome. So do we talk about the amendments that we made to recommend to town council? Is that what we do? If that's what we're going to do? So how do we, on the things that we talked about, some of the wordsmithing items?
There are wordsmithing items, because if it's anything significant, it may be to recommend town council, essentially, depending on what you decided, you may negotiate with.
No, on the town attorney one.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, those were not just wordsmith, I mean, those were
No,
substantive
some of them were
items,
substantive
yeah.
changes, so I think we need to maybe send it back to,
Well, no, I think we said that we would hold a special meeting in a week, give everybody the opportunity to try to
right,
isolate what suggestions
right,
that we thought we were agreeing to, and then to
okay,
quantify it, to memorialize it, and then to present it,
okay,
and be ready to hopefully approve it in a week,
okay.
so that it just didn't continue.
So, in new business, the review and recommendation to town council for approval of the amendment to the town attorney contract services agreement with Joe Wilson. So, we had a conversation about it, and there are several items in the version of the contract that, because of the way it's worded, were somewhat in conflict with what the ordinance says, and it has to do with to whom the town attorney reports and who assigns them his tasks, who approves those tasks, and so forth. And so what we agreed that we would address those issues. Some of them were less substantial than others, but we'd get those addressed and have a call meeting in a week to look at the revisions associated with those and then move forward.
Was this basically tabling it for?
So a motion to table this pending that review and subsequent meeting would be entertained. Anybody have a motion like that?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
Second.
Any further discussion on that point?
I just asked Steph, there was some question about who had what documents and which documents were redlined, et cetera. It's imperative, the correct document is given to all the members, so we're all working.
Well, they do have the correct document. It has to do with their
Well, no,
computer.
I mean, I didn't know
So
we
I
had.
think as a
Current-
operator,
And so-
let's have a hard copy in
Yeah, I
everybody's
can say,
hand.
just come pick up a
Yep.
hard copy, because
Yep.
you have to change the settings in your computer.
That's right.
To view the red
And
line
sometimes it's
version.
hard to do that on an Apple
With the
computer,
Apple
but
it
that's
is.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll let you know when the hard
So
copy
we
is
have a motion
available.
and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so I'll get with Stephanie and arrange for that subsequent meeting. We'll circulate all of the changes between now and then, and hopefully we can get that resolved. So the second one is review and recommendation of the town council for approval of the amendment to the employment agreement with Stephanie Tillerson. We agreed to make changes to the contract, the existing contract, and having to do with car allowance and severance period and salary. And we agreed that the salary should change to $225,000, and then that contract expires in November of next year, at which time we'll renegotiate again. Is that what we agreed?
No.
No? I thought it was.
I mean,
The-
I did not agree to that, Mr. Chairman, but
We agreed to approve the contract with the change in salary.
Right.
But the contract, this contract is from October 3, 2023 through October 31, 2025.
So it is negotiating a new contract, not changes to the existing contract.
It is,
Or current
Yes.
contract, yeah. So we're saying a new
A
contract.
new contract, I'm sorry, yes.
New contract, which has.
This
a cha-
contract with the change to the salary that was included on it.
Salary, car allowance, and severance.
A change to the salary, as embedded in this new contract.
And there is, embedded in the new contract, there's a change to the car allowance from the existing contract.
Yes.
And a
Yes.
change in the severance period.
Yes.
And so those are the three changes, and that's what we agreed to do. So could I have a motion to recommend that to town council?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any more discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to vote no on this. I will provide my rationale for that at more detail at the town council meeting. But based upon my review of publicly available data, that may not be exhaustive, but it's 80 municipalities that have provided data into the Municipal Association of South Carolina, so that's publicly available data. The compensation that's proposed would exceed every one of those municipalities, including jurisdictions such as Hilton Head, Mount Pleasant, Bluffton, Beaufort, Anderson, Aiken, et cetera. I also believe it would be appropriate to consider any compensation changes as might be warranted at the end of the term of the contract, not midterm. And I also disagree that there should be any consideration given to what is paid by a private sector entity, whether that's Kika or anybody else.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay, passes. Okay, chairman's report. So I'm gonna defer my comments because we're running short on time and let Dorota give her monthly budget report. I don't really have anything constructive to add to this at this point. So Dorota?
Yes, so I have the budget report for the 2 months ended August 31st, 2023. So this is, like I said, only 2 months, and this report is prepared on a cash basis as we don't accrue until the year end. Our consolidated revenues were about 1.3 million, which are pretty comparable to what it was last year at the same time, with the exception our building permit revenue is much lower, but it's mostly because the number of actual permits, including new construction, was about, what was it, about 80 permits less that we've issued. That variance in building permits is offset by the interest revenue that is much higher, about 227,000. But again, it's because of the higher yields and higher amounts that we invested. As far as the revenues, expenditures, they about 1.6 million. And they are a little bit higher than they were for the 2 months last year. However, they are within the budget. But those the differences from compared to last year are mostly related to the personnel cost because of the pay increases and the bonuses that were paid in July. And there is a new code enforcement, the short-term rental contract for the code enforcement. There was about 100,000 higher annually. And also the tourism and recreation cost is higher, and it's only due because one of the recipient was already fully funded beginning of the year. Usually they submit end of the year. But everything looks pretty much in line with the budget.
Okay.
Any questions?
Okay, citizens' comments. Yes, ma'am.
Maura McIlvaine, 146 Blue Heron Pond Road. So now we know what the proposal is for the town administrator. I guess I don't know why we don't know that until now. But that's the way it is. You come out of your meeting and you say, no votes were taken, no decisions were made. And then you say, we agreed to make this change, and we agreed to this, and we agreed to that. So you did make decisions. I don't know why you bother going through the litany of saints and pretending you didn't. So $225,000 plus car allowance and severance. The mayor of Charleston has over 750 employees and makes $214,394.39. The mayor of New York City, the largest city in the country, has over 330,000 employees and makes $258,750. And then I understand from Councilman Belt's comments, he went through more local comparables. I don't know why this number is the number you've come up with. I have no idea what it relates to. I have no idea. Councilman Belt said it's being done midterm. Perhaps someone could explain why we're readjusting the salary of the town administrator midterm. And just remember, we have a town administrator, not a town manager. We have a town administrator who has 19 employees, last I checked. So this seems way out of line. And we had 2 discussions about stickers and about someone for the wildlife department, and lots of questions about how much that was going to add to the budget, and we just did the budget, and do we really want to wait until we do the mid-year review of the budget to add these costs? So I guess I also wonder why you're not doing that with respect to these changes. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Brad McElvain, 146 Blue Heron Pond Road. At the beginning, I said we didn't have the contracts or drafts of the contracts, so we don't know what it is. We have that the town administrator is going to be raised to a certain amount. We don't even know what she's being paid now. Why can we not see the contracts that actually are in place now? They are public documents. Why are they not? Most municipalities report this information, and that's how Councilman Belt got the information. The town of Kiowa does not. Why not? Why is there such secrecy? Why is what the town administrator makes something that isn't public? Is there an answer to that? It certainly isn't because it's required by FOIA, because it isn't. So why are you keeping secrets? Why are you not releasing the drafts of these documents so that we can actually see what you're talking about? What provisions are in there? What provisions are being changed? These people work for us. We should be able to see what they're being compensated for and the terms of their agreement. The fact that you're doing this all in secret makes it very uncomfortable for everybody, that it appears that something is not quite right. And finally, I find it troubling that the town council's contract has provisions in it, or the town lawyer's contract, that violate state law. You would think of any contract, that would be the one contract that should comply with state law. And it's troubling that you get to this point and you've now found out that it does violate state law. So, but again, since we can't see it, we don't know exactly what it is or what's the provision. So, but why? Why is it secret? Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to make it look like you're doing something behind the scenes under cloaks? That's not a good look, and it's not the way town should operate.
Thank you.
I just want to clarify one thing for the record. Mr. McElvain said that most municipalities provide data into MASC. It's about a third that actually report into MASC, provide actual data.
Okay. Committee members' comments. Brad, any further comments? Russ?
No, thank you.
Mr. Mayor? Me either.
I think Michael is back.
Oh.
He had lost power.
Michael, do you have any further comments?
Yeah, just 2 quick ones. We had in the August 28th meeting discussed that Mr. Taylor would provide a proposal to more substantially increase the fees for the planning department when it comes to developers. And I was wondering when we could see and discuss that in maybe the next meeting.
Okay,
That would be all. Thank you.
okay. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.